Let's picture what it's like to be living just at the other end of the province, north of the Trans-Canada, where the road where the road ends. And then we get on a plane, we fly for about an hour, and basically when we look down, all we see is the Canadian Shield. We land in small towns like Kuchaching or Kiwewan, where power has just been introduced not too long ago. There are no telephones.
Canada is a vast country, the second largest in the world, some 6,000 kilometers from its east to west coasts, and 3,000 kilometers north from the United States border to the Arctic Ocean. Almost all its cities, and by far the largest percentage of its population, lives within 300 kilometers of the U.S. border. This is where 85% of 15-year-old children have computers at home, where high-speed connectivity is the norm, and children grow up with information and communications technology, ICT, as soon as they start on ABC. But it can also be seen as the line demarcating the digital divide. Most of Canada's 637 First Nations communities are north of this line. Some so far north there are no roads into them. Canada's fly-in communities.
We're finding that governments now are requiring things to be done via email and electronically. We had a summer program that the department said they had to fill it in electronically, and we said, well, they don't have internet access. Whereupon we were told quite succinctly to go down to your nearest library. Well, of course, when we told them if we could send them the bill for the $800 airfare, then they suddenly realized that no, not all the world has all the stuff that we take for granted.
The Canadian government is determined to close this digital divide and has given Industry Canada the prime role in bringing this about.
We used to put together a newsletter using an old Gus Stettner machine, and we'd go like this and crank out the newsletter. And then sometimes during freeze-up and breakup, we couldn't get into the communities with our newsletter or our newspaper, and then we would have to charter an airplane, and we would hand bomb the communities with our newsletter. That kind of thing, and that was communications back then.
Since 1995, First Nations SchoolNet, FNS, part of the Information Highway Applications branch of Industry Canada, has been responsible for providing support for internet connectivity to the 600 on-reserve schools under federal jurisdiction. When FNS first started, it had 4 people in one national office trying to do it all. First Nations people are among the 1 million Aboriginals in Canada's 30 million population. In 2002, 6 regional management organizations were selected from among existing not-for-profit organizations serving First Nations communities to deliver the program, working with Industry Canada's regional offices. And the digital divide began to crumble.
First Nations SchoolNet is targeted at on-reserve First Nations schools. The program aims to make information and communication technologies more accessible for First Nations youth and educators. Technology is now considered a foundation skill area, meaning that pretty much anything that you do in today's day and age, you require some level of understanding with computers and technology. So by youth increasing their level of comprehension with information and communication technologies, they will be better prepared to participate in the knowledge economy. And basic computer skills could land them a job that otherwise was unavailable to them.
It's been a good tool for me with regards to assignments and about other countries and history. I guess you could say opened up my eyes.
Even when we put the MSAT in last year and that, we even started changing our curriculums. Like, for example, geography curriculum now includes the internet, you know, where they can go on sites, they can see satellites, they can, you know, get into National Geographic, those kinds of things, and research information. So in terms of research and that, it's been phenomenal.
This whole concept of distance learning is going to happen, where you can be sitting here in Winnipeg learning, you know, about your traditions and ceremonies, and another person can be sitting in Churchill. They'll be on the same program.
When I have a computer class, it could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and because it's high speed, everything is lots quicker, and the lessons just go a lot more smoothly than last year.
One of the things that we didn't even have before was being able to set up a computer with just a basic program, and you know, that was one thing, learning all about that, and then you get, you know, internet access. I think that was like, kids couldn't believe like what they could do with it. I'm still learning on the different things that's accessible on the internet, and I'm totally amazed myself. We're going to be opening up 3 nights a week to for the community use and different like independent learning, like the distance ed and those kind of things, and to have the community, you know, have the internet and computers accessible to the community. So yeah, we're going to be involving the community, definitely. I think that was one of the priorities with the computers and internet system, is to have the community have access to it, for sure.
In terms of conditions that people work under, and yet we see the technology and we see the effects of the technology and the interest in having that technology in each of those First Nation schools.
We got to work with video cameras and digital cameras and things we wouldn't normally work with in a classroom.
The problem with where we come from in the north is that our information is not current. It's always outdated by weeks. And with internet, we have current information, and that is very helpful in training our children.
We're going to create an online dictionary that's going to be multimedia. So you type in a word in English or type in a phrase, hello, my name is, and the page will come up, you know, with the syllabics, and you know, with a button that you can click for the sound, and then you download the sound. Bonjour, Nishnikas, Daniel.
So kids can now have access to their past in a 21st century medium.
Look how far we've come. When we started, we were often getting just one computer into a First Nations school and providing slow connectivity. Now, we're working towards one computer for every 8 students, with high-speed broadband connectivity. Now, it's not just computers, but video cams, digital cameras, scanners, printers, and other peripherals that are going into these schools. Now, it's not just connectivity and equitable access that we're concerned with, but e-learning, distance learning, and e-skills development as well, that will allow First Nations youth to get their education on reserve. And we're part of the drive to turn Aboriginal communities into e-communities, smart communities, for their social, cultural, and economic development. Communities that will be able to offer jobs, offer futures to their ICT-trained youth. How fast are we growing? Well, at the end of 2003, there will be 8 First Nations schools with video conferencing ability, the gateway to distance learning and exchanges between distant classes and communities. By the end of 2004, there may be 10 times that many.
I just implore anybody that's in a position to give internet access to kids, especially in the north. And I just say, just go for it. Just accept the proposition. If somebody says, you know, we have this equipment, will you take it? Just say yes, okay? And then let it go from there. That's all I have to say. Say yes.